Welcome back. Our Choice 2017 coverage, our wall-to-wall coverage of this last few days before the August 8th general election continues here on KTN News. Many thanks for staying with us. Remember, we shall be doing this, dissecting and analyzing all the big issues day by day in the run-up until election night and even beyond, as we take a look at the biggest races. Of course, the big one, the 2017 race to State House, the 8 men who are seeking to be the President of the Republic of Kenya. And of course, other elective positions with a special focus on the county seats, the second Senate after the promulgation of the Kenya Constitution. We shall also be taking a look at the 47 big races, the gubernatorial races, the 47, the men who are trying to retain their seats as governors, and a handful of women trying to break the ultimate ceiling. Many thanks for joining us. My panel is here with me. It is a super panel, but it's a small super panel. Joshua Kipto, political analyst, Martin Olo, political analyst, as well as advocate Joy Brenda Mdivo. Thank you very much, gentlemen and lady, for joining me this evening. Good. But before we get to them, let's now start where Yvonne Okwara Matole left off. Police have released a timeline of the last moments of slain IEBC manager Chris Msando. A statement from the Inspector General of Police, Joseph Bonnet, has confirmed that Msando's vehicle was captured on CCTV. And in other news, President Kenyatta has sent his condolences to Msando's family, as well as that of Carol Ngumbu. NASA coalition, on the other hand, is demanding swift investigations into the murder.
She was called by the police to come to county. What do you expect?
Tunasema pole kwa wale ambao amepoteza maisha yake juzi, na tunasema kwa polisi wafanye haraka kumaliza upelelezi wao ndio tujue ni nini, na wahakikishe ya kwamba tuwataka wote wapatiwe ulinzi wa kutosha, kwa sababu hatutaki mtu yeyote aumie, hatutaki mtu yeyote atumie excuse ya kusema hatutakuwa na uchaguzi katika taifa letu la Kenya.
But Kenyans have little faith in our Directorate of Criminal Investigation's resolve to identify, pursue, and bring the killers to book, as well as those who directed them to justice. Kenya's recent history is replete with too many unresolved probes into politically motivated killings.
Let me bring my panel into this. And so, two things we're learning from this, among the many things. President Uhuru Kenyatta is telling Kenyans, and politicians especially, not to speculate. The NASA brigade, on the other hand, they are urging the government to take on that offer by the US and UK governments to have investigators from those countries come into the country to help Kenya investigate that the murder of Msando. Let me start with you, Joy. What is your take on this? Should Kenya take on the US and the UK on that offer and have foreign investigators come into this Msando murder mystery?
Kenya has a long history of having unsolved politically instigated murders. And I would understand why anybody would rather place trust in somebody who's removed from the intrigues or the nuances that inform the Kenyan psyche to be able to give a third eye or a more an impartial eye into this situation. Given the sort of tensions that we have right now, the kind of aspersions that have been cast, I would understand how that would seem beneficial. However, we heard from the gentleman in charge of the CID yesterday, and he came out categorically stating that we have very highly trained professionals, they have an elite team working on it, and that they're confident that they're going to get the bottom of this. So I would like, for example, if we can just give them maybe a week or two, let's see what sort of progress we are making. If we don't seem to be making any progress, then it would make sense that we'd be able to invite others to come in and help. But if we just say straight away, we're not going to do anything, let's get some people in. In the meantime, evidence is being tampered with. The people who were potential witnesses are being dealt with or disappearing or dissipating. So let the police strike while the iron is hot, because the first 72 hours of any crime are the most important in terms of investigations. So I would support it if our process seems to be stalling or failing.
All right.
But I think we have what it takes to be able to solve this murder.
Martin, what do you think should happen? Does the Directorate of Criminal Investigations have what it takes, or should Kenya take on the US and the UK on that offer?
I don't think that it's an either or. Basically, what we need to be discussing is what has happened and what needs to be done in order for this, murder really to be resolved. So it's not whether FBI comes in or whether external people come in. In fact, it's still a futile exercise. Anybody coming in here will have to depend on our internal people to really navigate around. So really, it's a good offer, but I don't think we have asked for it for now. And nobody has said, look, this thing is so complex, Kenyans can't understand it, let's try and find other ways. And I'm sure that if there's any other way that anybody would want to help, there are other ways. I mean, there are satellite images everywhere. If we wanted to track this, even from a satellite perspective, that is also possible. That information can be made available to our security agents and so on. For me, I think what should be worrying us is the level of what you may call a trust deficit that is increasingly creeping in. On one end, you have an incident and already you have clear people with very clear statements without investigations. I mean, where is the basis of this information? On the other, we don't trust our agencies, so we do not want even them to move near the investigation. So the question then is, what happens when we decide that we do not trust each other?
Right.
Where do we gain our confidence? How do we gain our traction back?
Is there a possibility of this taking a very political tangent?
Already it has taken a political tangent. You see that there are those who have rushed and have addressed the media and have said what they have said.
Right.
The government on the other side is saying, look, wait, we are on this issue. We are, investigating. We have put our best team out there. Let's see what comes out of it. So, again, the issue is, and you see this is all about even our media, social media, everything. We seem to have an opinion, and sometimes very strong opinions about everything, even if we are outrightly wrong.
Right. Joshua, what is your take on this?
Now, my take is simple. It is an indictment on our part. When we have a discussion, Martin calls it trust deficit. I call it absolute mistrust. And the focus should be, what is the source of this mistrust? What made us as Kenyans, as citizens, be very skeptical of our institutions? It is pegged on history. It is pegged on inability to solve matters. In fact, if you look at the track record, if you look at the precedents for such political matters,
right,
how much do we always get it right? I can struggle to pinpoint which political matter was sorted out or was investigated conclusively and possibly the suspect apprehended. We don't have that. Now, that feeds into the mistrust, because you have a case whereby we are not saying, for example, that we rubbish absolutely the capacity of our investigators and our police force. Not at all. But do they have the will? Do we have the political will? Because the police officers may have the desire to do, but if there are powers that be, that overrules them, which has always been the case.
Before you go on, let me interrupt you. Is it right to call this a political matter?
Speculatively, I can say with that absolute precision that it's a political, but judging on the season and the circumstances, we may. But the main thing I wanted to pinpoint, now that you said, why should we speculate it to be a political? Because of the timing as well as the position. Secondly, I'm only content with the kind of calm the public has handled it, that you'd expect it to generate such tension, but you can see the public has generally been calm. There's that wait and see approach, and I think our focus should be, why then should we, or how should we empower our institutions?
Right.
The offer that was given by the foreign entities, for example, when you say there's an offer from FBI, and I don't think that is the solution. That can only be a stopgap measure. We can't always run to foreign entity when we have our own. I would rather we critique, I would rather we have a problem with institutions, we complain until we find a solution there. And it's simple.
Right.
If we have the capacity plus the political will, it can be done. Simple.
All right. Before we move on away from this, Joy, do you think the government has handled this in the most responsible way possible?
I think given the circumstances, there's not much they could have done. We have a small, not a small problem, it's a big problem. We have a skill gap in our police force between the police officers on the beat and the elite officers who handle investigations. So, for example, if you're just a constable in the police station, you find that your capacity to handle, for example, something simple like a crime scene is limited. You're not able to, you find that, for example, let me give a practical example. When the first social media video went out of the young man who discovered the car, if you can call it that, who discovered the car and was taking a video, when that went out, if the police officers were really on the beat with this thing, because it was a missing persons report, right, they would have secured that vehicle, because the vehicle is a potential crime scene. It has vital clues. But what happened? Moses Kuria found his way there. Members of the public found their way there. Even when the vehicle was being towed away, the people who are handling the breakdown vehicle had their fingerprints all over. None of them was gloved or anything. It's not that it is at the police station that you see it has the yellow tape around it. But by that time, crucial evidence has been contaminated or lost. We need to have a situation whereby we start taking the police force more seriously, right, interrogate those who get into the police force more seriously, and then also for the police spokesmen to come out with information. Such situations, such murders are the ones where, even if you don't know much, come out and tell us what you know. Otherwise, if you have a silence of about 24 hours before things start percolating, look at even, it's police officers who took that body and transported it to the city mortuary, because that's what they do. How come there was no connection between this is the person we're looking for and this is the person being found until Monday? So we need to find a way of stepping up, yes, so that our police force, those entering even at the rudimentary level, come in with a certain level of not only aptitude, but a certain level of investigative training, because most of them are the investigating officers in most of these criminal cases. And that's what kills. That's why you hear majority of criminal cases ending in lack of evidence, because there is that, it's not the courts. The investigations are wanting.
All right, let's bring this into more perspective, and it's a sad developing story that has not only shaken the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, but has also put the spotlight on the Wafula Chebukati-led commission, and arguably its most crucial week, a week to the country's biggest election since independence. Now, the commission is in the process of bringing in the last batch of presidential election ballot papers, and the chairman has moved to assure the country that all is well.
Whoever tortured him, I don't think there's anything that he will have found that will be useful to him. Assuming that that's what he was looking for. Our systems are secure. We have our service providers, and come the election day, we are going to deliver the results as expected.
So I know a lot has been said about this story. It has been over milk in the last 48 hours or so, but the commission is facing arguably its biggest task. It's a new commission, relatively, could say that. How does the commission ensure that it puts this on the back burner, the Msando murder, and focus on the election? Martin?
I think that we want to find a place where we actually want to advise that maybe the commission should be doing more. More in terms of its public communications with the Kenyans. In fact, we should be seeing about 2 briefings a day from the commission. In the morning, they should be telling us something. In the midday, they should be telling us something. And in the evening, they should be telling us something. In fact, on this panel, we should be having a constant IEBC person, because all we're talking about is elections. Right. And every time we turn around, we should be asking, hey, how about this? Hey, how about this? How about that? So basically, what we're saying is that this is, something that, is a setback for them. Perhaps it shocks them because they have not seen any crisis ever since they went in there. And it is a test of how then they are going to come together as a commission, face the challenge and rise, pick themselves up and know that they still have a bigger responsibility to deliver to Kenyans an election that will be unimpeachable, an election that will be above reproach. And surely what we're also looking at, and this is the thing that we must keep on telling Kenyans, that at the end of the day, you have information about how you approach the election. You know that this biometrics is going to be used for just identification.
Right.
And you also know that after that, the voting will be manual. And after that is when you'll be, the issues of transmission will be happening. I think that there is a place where all of us as Kenyans, including all players in these elections, should come together and assure us that they have actually an intention to see a free and fair election. And the reason is that in every small way, every participant is actually leading either to success or the failure of this. So if every time you wake up, you are shouting wolf, every time you wake up, you are indicating that you have reasons to worry, then what do you expect your supporters to do? Do you expect them to stay home? Do you expect them to come out and vote? So there's a sense in which over the next couple of days, we should be hearing everybody pulling out their supporters, telling them to come out, assuring them that everything is in place so that they can come and vote and be sure that their vote will count.
Right. Ironically, as you say, Martin, Joy, the politicians are the ones leading the speculation. And how much of a disruption will this speculation be, even as Wafula Chebukati and his team try to, plan and organize a credible election in the next 6 days or so?
I wish it was just about the matter that we have on hand. This speculation has been rife since the commission started its work. We have seen hurdle after hurdle thrown in the path of the commission. And I must commend the Chebukati Commission because for commission in its infancy, they have really risen to the challenge, rebutting as much as they could, going to court, defending, losing, picking themselves up and moving forward. But I think also we have to understand that as political parties, this is such a high-stakes election. You have a president who does not want to go down in history as being the first president who was a one-term president. On the other hand, you have a gentleman who's running for office for a record 4th time and is hoping that this will be this is his do-or-die moment. So this being a very high-stakes operation, we have seen many aspersions being cast on the commission. Now, with this particular matter, it's more significant because it hits right at the heart of what the commission has been saying. This time round, the systems will not fail. This time round, the systems are very foolproof. And even Marehemu was at the forefront of telling people, even the dead voters will not resurrect to vote on my watch. And so with him being out of the picture, if something happens on election day and the systems do not work, we will come back to this matter immediately. It will be like, you know what, this is the reason why this happened. Because remember, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. And right now we are looking at the IEBC facing a situation whereby a critical link has been removed and they have to do some patchwork real quick. But the politicians need to understand that there are times you can, and that's what Martin was saying, there are times when you can cast so many doubts on what is going on until those who are supporting you get a fever. They feel like, you know what, what's the point, what's the use? And with all this exodus to Western Kenya, for example, I am hoping that most of those guys have their vote at home. Because otherwise it would be unfortunate if we see people going and getting disenfranchised because people are suddenly thinking this is too bad, this is too much, we can't handle this.
All right, Joshua, that speculation involves the issue of ICT-related issue that the IEBC faced in 2013. And how much can Kenyans come back to the Msando issue? How much can people, speculate about there being technical or ICT-related issues in this year's election, even as we get, assurances from Wafula Chebukati and all that?
Now, in 2013, we should remember that IEBC had more confidence that this current IEBC, the public confidence was high. Secondly, going into the election, the previous team appeared. They created this facade of confidence and everything well. And if you remember, going into that election, there was no doubt about their ability to deliver. And it was coming in the backdrop of implementation of the Kriegler Commission, which talked about automation. And automation was tailor-made towards BVR, at the same time, electronic transmission of results. Now, the spectacular failure of that electronic transmission system led to where we are now, in the sense that we had an amendment to the Election Act, and the first thing we did post-2013, one of the lessons was, let's have an integrated electronic system. And that was the hallmark. Coming into this election, the skepticism and the low public confidence in IEBC has only been cured by one thing: by the promise that we have an integrated electoral system that will not fail. And you know, there have been, if I can pick the CEO has been very categorical, trying to say that unlike in 2013, we have tested our electronic systems in advance. Right. Msando, if you remember, I think he was on this station last week, just before he was reported missing. He came here and he was saying that this week, Monday, Tuesday, they are testing, they are going live, they are going to show that it is tamper-proof. And I think that was the hallmark of the confidence IEBC would get. That I think going into the elections next week, the success or failure of IEBC will squarely lie on their ability for their systems to work. It failed in 2013. Can they sustain it in 2017? So when you talk about speculation, when you mix up the Msando Mada vis-a-vis the ICT, again, it thrusts IEBC back into spotlight. And I think you had previously asked Martin to comment on what do you think it does to the IEBC. If you ask me, apart from their communication strategy being better, I think it should rally them around this cause. I picked out what the chairman said, that we've lost our colleague, and the best way we can honor him is for people to turn out, but importantly for us to deliver a credible.
Let's take a quick commercial break here on the program. You're watching our continued wall-to-wall coverage, Choice Kivumbi 2017, 7 days to the election. When we return after this quick commercial break, we discuss more about this issue, of course, and plus the fact that one of the IEBC commissioners has alluded to the fact that if this country is to go to a presidential runoff after the 8th of August, there is no money to do that. We'll talk about all that, plus the latest opinion polls by research firms InfoTrack as well as Ipsos. Don't go too far.
KTN News, your official election station.